to the Voice Cast Season 2.
Let's go.
With me today, I have Jonathan.
Hello, everybody.
What was this?
I don't know. Just give it my
It's a bow.
hello.
It's very respectful.
And also Kaimana.
Hello.
We are here, Season 2 of the Voice Cast, back by popular demand.
Yes. Amen.
Yes.
This is Season 2, Episode 2. We are like, oh my goodness, this is like November sweeps right now.
Yeah.
We are doing this.
It's the sweeps.
So
as I
let's
call
do
it.
the sweeps. It's not even November.
That's
it
what
is
I call
March
it.
My
sweeps.
goodness.
March Madness.
It is March Madness in a whole new way.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's we've been discussing this already today, but we want to go ahead and bring it before you guys, something very, very serious.
Yes.
Santa Claus, I'm Spanish, Santa Claus
Santa
versus
Claus.
the Easter Bunny. Go.
Well, I'll position my argument this way. Absolutely, the Easter Bunny
Okay.
is well over Santa Claus. Here's why. It's an interesting take, but here's why. I think Santa Claus does a lot more damage to children
Damage, wow.
once they realize. For those of you watching this, if you didn't know, I'm sorry. That he's non-existent. I know.
This is not
Don't
safe for
let your
little ears. Have all
siblings
little
know,
ears
please
leave
don't.
the room right
Please,
now.
Please. However, the Easter Bunny, I don't know that any kid genuinely believes that a huge rabbit comes into their house and puts candy on their fridge. Is that how that works?
Their fridge.
I don't know.
Why they're
I don't know, in a basket on their fridge. I thought that's how it works. Anyways,
Is that what they did?
Like
Is
on
that what the bunny
top
did
of
at
their
your house?
fridge?
I think
We're
so.
not like
really high,
giants, Jonathan.
so no one could
no
get
one could reach
I think-
the top
But
of the
he
fridge
could,
but you.
though.
Is it under the Easter tree? Where do you put it?
I don't know, on the table.
Yeah, well, whatever. It was on the fridge. That's why I'm so tall. I had to stretch my whole life to
He's
get
the
it.
only one. Brandon, all the other kids.
Like, guys, the
Jonathan,
Easter
you
Bunny
get it.
came.
All right, I'm up. I'll get it. No, but okay, so I think the Easter Bunny is a far more harmless being than Santa Claus.
Harmless.
Harmless.
Yeah.
I feel like Santa Claus is the best because he just is. And like the idea as a kid that you might see him, like you might be able to catch him, it's
Yeah.
just like the greatest. Like you think you're looking for like Bigfoot or something. Like Keanu and I would stay up with all our stuffed animals. I remember when you rewatched Back to School, which is like a really old movie with what's his face? Andy something.
I never
He's
saw
an
that
old
movie.
comedian, whatever. Back to school, he goes back to college with his son.
Is the guy with the
Um,
big old eyes?
Yeah.
Is it Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, and I was like 6. I was like, why are we watching this? But we watched it. We tried to stay up, and I swear we stayed up all night. We couldn't find him, but then he bought me birds. I don't know. It was great, and I just feel like I was grateful to him. And then the last year, I didn't believe in Santa Claus. The last year we did it, but I like kind of convinced my parents I did. And so I was like, I don't know if Santa Claus doesn't bring me this thing. I don't know. He might not be real. And so
Good.
they got me what I
Good
wanted that
move.
year. And I was
Wow.
like, guys, I already know.
Good. Well, okay.
It's a trick.
Broke it to
Okay,
them then.
Easter Bunny Santa. Who has the better outfit?
What does the Easter Bunny wear? Just himself?
I mean,
What
that's
does
the.
he wear?
Don't
For
ask
Does
me.
is the Easter Bunny
Is he naked?
naked?
'Cause
Is
that's
that like
gross.
inappropriate?
No.
He
He
is
at least
naked.
has a bow.
Like a bow tie?
Yeah.
That's very
Not a vest,
scandalous,
too?
I
No,
feel
like
like.
no
maybe
pants.
He has a vest if he wants one.
Santa wears pants and a coat
I'm not gonna lie to you. Santa Claus definitely beats the Easter Bunny in this one.
and an outfit.
If you've ever seen Santa go crazy on his outfit, I mean that junk is like some velvet quality. Like I'm talking, like it's
It's
just
nice,
it's up
yeah.
there with the Easter Bunny's. It's fur.
Who brings better stuff, Santa or Easter Bunny?
There's no.
Santa?
Yeah, Santa.
So you're not proving your point here.
I'm talking about harmless.
Who
Santa
tastes
Claus
better,
is.
Easter Bunny or Santa?
Find me
I
a
feel
chocolate.
like
Is
the
there a
chocolate Easter bunnies.
There's all chocolate
I
Easter
eat that,
bunnies.
yeah.
Yeah, chocolate Easter.
There's
yeah,
no chocolate
so
Santa.
Is there a chocolate Santa? I'm sure there are chocolate Santas
I'm
out
sure
there.
there's Santa everything.
But
I like the little Santa cookies that are like this, and they have Santa on them, and they're little. You can only get them around Christmas time.
Are you talking about just circle?
You can only get them during the holidays. They have like a Halloween one.
But that's
Oh,
not.
from like Pillsbury?
Doesn't
yeah, it has
matter, though.
Santa
It doesn't
on it.
matter.
That's
That's
delicious.
not. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. That's just a
There's
They
picture.
don't,
Santas
but
on
they
it.
don't have Easter Bunny ones.
But that's just a
Wait,
picture
I
of
think they
Santa.
do. They have eggs.
They
You
had
understand
Star
what I'm
Wars
trying to say, you
ones.
guys? That's just a picture of Santa on a cookie.
Yeah,
No.
I'm
delicious.
talking about
The
a
real one.
bunny. You got the ears,
Uh-huh.
the feet. You can eat that.
I mean, if you watch the last epi, I don't like chocolate that much, so I'd rather have a cookie.
Yeah, watch the last
True.
episode. We talked about chocolate. Ain't that great? Anyways, so
I thought about, to me, I was thinking about this. Whose holiday is more important? Is Easter more important than Christmas?
Neither.
That's where I landed on it.
well,
The birth of our King or the crucifixion of our Savior?
Well,
Which do
the
you-
Bible says that we really should just remember his death with communion. And it doesn't really tell us we have to celebrate either thing. So,
So another point for the Easter Bunny.
At the same
Another point.
time, if he was never born, I don't know.
yes.
The theological question of the ages.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
I don't
let's-
know. I was always stuck on how, like, December 25th isn't really his birthday.
I mean, is Easter really the?
I don't
His
know.
birthday is
Well,
death day.
yeah.
I don't think so because it changes every year.
Yeah,
It's like the
exactly.
whatever Sunday of the year.
Exactly,
Now he's
so-
risen.
It's based on like Lent and stuff and
Yeah.
Yeah.
leap year.
I say Easter. Easter's more important.
Solar eclipse Easter.
That's my pick. Yeah.
Easter's more important than
I would
Christmas.
say
Yeah, you got me
I
nervous now. Let me
acknowledge
phrase it again.
Jesus more during Easter than
You love him
Christmas.
more?
Well, that's true.
Well, I just acknowledge him because I honestly
that's
feel like
true.
Christmas is really like, yes, it's his birth, but I just feel like it's not his birth. He was probably born at some other time.
Yeah, and so we
and
just
so I don't feel as guilty about like, here's presents, here's Santa,
Yeah.
it's fine, here's
No,
the
that's a
tree.
good point. I agree
During
with you.
Easter though, I'm like the bunny, whatever. I'm like,
Mhm,
he is
So
a
should we just
Exactly.
cancel
seed.
Christmas?
Or
Prob-
call
I
it
don't
something
see
else.
The problem with not cancel. Let's just cancel it. At this rate, it's going to get canceled anyways, right? I mean,
Too soon.
maybe it's whatever.
Too
9
soon.
months. We'll see.
Oh my gosh, Jesus
It's
help
dark.
us. Hopefully
It's dark.
Easter doesn't get canceled.
No.
Hopefully it just happens.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue our conversation with episode 2, quarantine conversations. We're going to talk about self-discipline
There we go.
today.
Very
It's a big one.
cool.
There's a couple of definitions I found on the word self-discipline. One was the ability you have to control and motivate yourself. I thought that was pretty good. This other one that I found I thought was really cool. The choice of achieving what you want by doing things you don't really want
That's very
to
good.
do.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, shoot, I'm going to read that again. The choice of achieving what you want by doing things you don't really want to do. So I thought that was pretty cool. Self-discipline during this time. We have to probably tap into that more. Maybe even with the fruit of the Spirit, it kind of taps into like self-control. Even though sometimes
Yeah.
we think self-control is like sex.
Yeah.
It's not always
Yeah.
that. It's other things too, which would pop into the conversation. But it's a cool time to develop that in our lives, considering that we are quarantined. So
Yep.
on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best of the best, how disciplined are you?
I am a solid 6.5
Okay.
on the disciplinometer. To expand on that, I think 6. Let's just say 6. 6 is good. Because discipline is like, it's one of those things where I don't know if I'll ever get to like the peak of, you know what I mean? Feeling like,
Of perfect
yeah,
discipline?
you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'll always want to be more disciplined in some way. So like, let's say, for example, that I want to be more disciplined in, let's just say like eating healthy things. Right? Let's say like I get somebody else involved. Hey, keep in check with me, whatever. Like, let's say that's successful. I just feel like I'm going to want like to be so disciplined as to maybe not have them be there. You know what I mean? And then there's like steps above that and above that. So I don't know. I say 6 because I want to always be able to improve, but I also say 6 because I genuinely know that I probably should just say 6. There are things that like no, I mean
No
it. There-
explanation.
there-
Well, you know your
listen.
friends are going to watch this.
No,
so
yeah,
if
exactly.
you
Well,
give
yeah,
yourself
which
a higher
is
number.
good. That's accountability. But 6 for me because I mean, like, there are things that I just know, like, I just need to get done in like a timely manner too. But if they're at all like not that necessary, if they're like even
You
the
could
slightest
live
bit
without
not,
them.
you know what I mean? Like if they're like
Yeah,
like
if
getting,
it's not an emergency,
yeah,
life or death,
yeah, then
it doesn't have
then
to be
I'm just
done.
gonna do it like later type thing.
Yeah.
And I look at things like that as like a lack of discipline. A perfect example is my car. Like I get it cleaned the outside pretty often, but the inside, it's always like it doesn't look that bad. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't look
Yeah.
that bad. I can get away with it, so it's never an emergency. So I just like spend my time doing things I want to do.
Like video games?
Right, like video games, like just
Important
like,
things.
hanging out with really important things, like very important things. Hanging out with friends, whatever.
Chillin'.
But I don't know. I think 6 is a perfect answer for me because I could definitely go
So
higher.
not 6.5. As
Yeah,
you've been
six- well-
talking, you're going down like this.
Honest-
Let-
it's a
let's-
5.
can
I'm
we-
a 5.
By the end of this, -3.
Let's just make it a
No, don't.
Let's make it a 5.75.
let's just make it a -6.
Oh my
We'll just go
gosh,
negative in
no.
the other direction.
Kaimana, scale 1 to
Um,
10. How disciplined are you?
I mean, I feel bad now saying this after the 6 incident, but
okay.
I think I'm a 9. I feel like I'm really disciplined. I used to be more disciplined. Like, I feel like the height was when I was like 10 years old. I was most disciplined. It's been a slow declined since then, but I'd say I'm still on a 9.
What did you do at 10 that was so
I was just so, I mean, like, I worked out every day. I literally had like a little 10-year-old six-pack. I woke up early, like 6 a.m. to homeschool. I taught myself. I would like do every lesson I had to do, and then I would do another lesson so I could like maybe have a day off the next day. And then I wouldn't take a day off the next day. So I like finished all my school super fast. And I was watching Golden Girls at the same time and The Nanny. And I don't know, like I would be up and I'd be done with everything before everyone else woke up. And I didn't eat garbage. I ate really well. I don't know. I don't know who I was back then. I want to meet her again.
It's kind of cool.
10-year-old Kaimana. Could you imagine?
Just
We
like,
have her as a guest here.
so.
She would have so many more opinions.
So what
She
can
would
I
be-
do better?
Help me.
She'd be way more confident than 25-year-old.
I keep going back on my decision too. I think I'm a pretty disciplined person. I'm gonna go average right now. I would say 8.5. That's my
Okay,
discipline
mine has to be
level.
lower then because I'm not as disciplined as you.
I'm like, no, I know. I was thinking,
Make
I'm like,
me an
I'm
8.
a really disciplined human being, but I feel like there's just always more I can do. So like,
Man.
that's where I like
I want to
struggle
change my
with.
answer to 8. I'm
What area could be more disciplined? I think I could be more disciplined in the gym, and I was doing pretty good, but now Corona, my Corona, so I can't go there, and it's really hard for me to like work out if I'm not like don't have an instructor telling me what to do. I was like, do the app, do the
It is
thing on
much
video.
different.
I'm just like,
Yeah, it is
I
much
don't want to
different.
because I'm
Like,
just
it
like
doesn't-
I can stop or I can cheat.
You can't make
Like-
me. You're
like
in a
the
screen.
push-up challenge. I was like, oh, the challenge, and I'm like, have you done a push-up this whole year until right now?
I'm super hoping
Like,
no
who
one nominates
cares?
me
Yeah.
because I don't
you
even
still haven't been
know
nominated.
if
Huh?
I could
can,
pump
like,
out
do it?
10.
You could.
I don't think I
You
could.
could. It's not that
I
hard.
would probably have to
10-year-old Kaimana
splice
could.
it. 10-year-old Kaimana could literally do 50 because she was almost a
See
black
50,
belt.
give 50.
She was almost a black belt and then she quit, so it's fine. But I would agree, like, probably for a solid year, I've just been a mess of eating and exercise. Most of that year I was pregnant, so I would
but
like
that's,
to
like,
use
a
that as an
really good
excuse. But I feel like
reason.
it's not really an excuse. Like, I was like, I'm gonna be a fit pregnant woman. I'm gonna eat salad,
Those
whatever.
ladies are amazing at the gym.
I
They're
know,
amazing.
and
The
it
fit
wasn't me.
pregnant
I thought
women
it was
going
gonna
in,
be, and it wasn't.
They're like lifting, big old belly.
Yes,
I don't
and
think
it's
I've ever seen
beautiful.
that.
A pregnant woman at the gym? Oh my gosh, they're amazing.
It's a sight to be seen.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see me there.
What area would you like to be more self-disciplined in?
So this is an interesting one because of the
There's such a preface every time he begins to talk.
He
I'm just-
always like
because
points
it
out
helps me.
how interesting
Well, it
the
helps me.
next
Section right
It-
now,
it
and I'm
helps
just like,
me.
what did I ask you?
It
I have
helps
no
me.
idea.
It helps me focus. So listen, the reason it's interesting, it's important to know, because the second definition that you put is the choice of achieving what you want by doing things you don't really want to do. Get ready for this. An area I'd like to be more disciplined in is reaching out to people to just check up on them.
Okay.
Okay? Now, is that something I really don't want to do?
Yes.
I-
If you don't do it.
If you don't do it, you really don't want to do it.
It's interesting though, because if you
Deep
ask me
down
like,
inside, you're bad.
You hate
yeah,
people.
I mean you're right.
Like don't pretend you're better than you are. It's okay. We're all bad too.
But I mean, like-
if you really wanted to check up on them, you would do it.
Yeah.
You're you're definitely right about that. But it's interesting though, because like
interesting,
if
though,
you
because-
ask me,
right.
I do want to.
Yeah, but you don't know yourself.
but you
Our
want to
heart deceives us.
appear.
It's very it
Yes,
does.
the
doesn't
heart
it?
is
Does the
deceitful.
Bible ever say anything about that? I don't know. No, yeah, but okay. So that's my answer. Is like I want to be more self-disciplined and like, and it's a very like weird. Like I don't know. I say I want to be more self-disciplined in that area, right? But do I want to be more self-disciplined just to do it or to like doing it? I don't know. To me, being really self-disciplined is saying, I'm going to do it whether I like it or not. But at the same time, it kind of goes back to what we talked about in the last episode. It's like, what's the attitude you're doing it with? You know what I mean? And things like that, I think, really matter. So I don't know. That's an area I want to be more self-disciplined in, is being intentional about reaching out to people who I maybe just know need someone to talk to.
yeah.
But I want to also want to do it. I think that goes for a lot of things, like working out too. We want to. We want to. But that's the difficult part of it.
What's the hardest part about self-discipline on that note, since that was the difficult part about it? What's the hardest part about being self-disciplined?
Sorry. I think the fact that like self-discipline is really about like goals you have like internally as a person. And so a lot of times you're the only one that can see your lack, and everyone else might like comment, like no one might know, like, oh yeah, you know, they'd be like, John, you care about people so much and whatever, like you do, amen. But like in your head, you're like, oh, they already think I care about people, and I haven't even texted these people, so I'm
Yeah.
probably good, you know, or
Right,
when people like compliment your appearance, you're like, oh, well, I haven't worked out in like a whole decade, so I guess I don't really need to because people think I am already, you know, so it genuinely is just yourself, and you're like, this is something I want to be good at, so it's hard when other people kind of like praise you or give you compliments about it, even though you're not doing it.
True.
And then you're like, oh, well, this is just as good and no work involved, you know?
The hardest part of self-discipline in my mind is realizing when, I'm kind of realizing how it's phrased now. The hardest part of self-discipline is realizing when you just need to stop trying to self-discipline and try and get some people in your life that can help you discipline.
What?
Does that make sense?
No.
Group discipline.
So basically, there are certain things such as, like I mentioned earlier, like eating right, working out and stuff. Like, I believe that certain people get to a point where they're like, well, I really maybe just shouldn't do this on my own anymore, and I should probably get some people around me who can help me, encourage me, and all that stuff. So, but my answer to the question, the hardest part of self-discipline is not being blind to the fact that you can't do certain things on your own. Like not being so kind of like solo-minded as to think everything that I need to be disciplined in, I can do it on my own, and I don't need any accountability. Like, that's the hard part, because certain things you can self-discipline yourself in. Certain things, and the interesting thing too is, like, you could be successful in the past at self-disciplining in one area. All of a sudden in the future it's more difficult. So to me, the hardest part in my life has been not being blind to the fact that, okay, this is something I need help on. This is something I need other people to know about, or this is something I want to you know, put out there. Maybe even, like, I don't know, like making some sort of public thing, like, oh, hey, I'm working out every day. You know what I mean? People do Instagram posts and stuff like that. So to me, the hardest part is realizing when you can't do it on your own.
Yeah. I think to me, one of the hardest parts is just getting started, because you're just like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow, which is a great time right now to get started.
Yes.
But also, I think there is maybe like a misconception, because there's some things I feel I'm pretty disciplined in, but people think, oh, I'm going to do it and then I'm going to love it. There's things that I'm disciplined in that I hate with a passion to the bottom of my core. If I could stop it today, I would stop it. Like, I have no desire to ever do it. And I've been doing it for years and it still hasn't changed. So, like, it's surprising how much because I have self-discipline, I know I have to do it even though I don't want to. Like, I don't ever expect the want to change. Yeah. I just know I have to, because for the greater good, which probably helps me kind of understand life and trials and God a little bit. I'm like, it's okay. Like, you just know you have to. So I think people are always waiting to, like, I love going to the gym. It's my jam. No, I don't love it. Like, I don't. There's times in my mind I'm just like, I am miserable. I hate it here. I want to die. Like, I'll think negative thoughts just to laugh at myself, and I'm like, people love this. I'm like, I don't love it. I like chocolate and Easter bunnies and Christmas and Santa, like all of it. So I think that's kind of a misconception. We wait for us to just, oh, now we want to. And I'm like, I don't think you ever want to with certain things. I don't think you ever want to.
That's very true.
What is one thing that you lack discipline in, but now you're very disciplined in? What helped you get where you're at in this habit or discipline? I'll go back to my first question if that was too much.
What is one thing you lack discipline in, but now you're very disciplined in?
Yeah.
So one thing I used to lack discipline in pretty heavily, I think, was being on time places. I don't know what caused the lack of concern in that area, but I've always kind of
laughing at you.
I know. Was I ever late?
I thought you were going to say texting and texting back.
But whenever Jonathan is late, he also has Starbucks.
It's all right.
And it's just the greatest slap. It's the greatest slap, because I'm like, so you were late.
For those of you who don't know,
you stopped at Starbucks.
But he cares about you. That was his way of showing that he cared about you.
For those of you who don't know, I interned for this beautiful ministry called The Voice back in 2014 to 2016. And a handful of times, your boy would enter a meeting 10, 15,
20,
30 minutes late.
3 days.
You know, with a cup of coffee or two, whatever. Again, I don't know what caused that. I don't know what kind of made me okay with that. But I'm much more disciplined in that now. And what helped me get to that point. So, fact about me, I do a lot of my work from home. And I think when I realized the time I was saving not driving, I, like, all of a sudden had this, like, value for the clock. Like, I'm like, well, there's a really limited amount of time in our lives. You know what I mean? Like, and so, like,
Jonathan.
and so it all, like, the 10, 15 minutes, like, that matters, like, heavily. So I've also gotten in the groove of, like, okay, just, like, giving myself a little bit of excess time and like to prepare for things and stuff like that, just to be more comfortable. It hasn't been really much of a thing where it's like, it sounds bad, but it hasn't been because I feel bad being late for like.
Right. Because you don't care about people. We already discussed
right,
that.
exactly.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. You're fine.
No, but it's more so just the thing of like time is the most valuable thing that we have, really. So I don't know. That helped me.
Being self-aware, that's like one of the big things. Like being like, wait a minute, I lack. Because we
I'm
want to be positive. No, good. Participation trophy, we're fine.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, I'm horrible. That's
Right.
like the best.
That is the best.
To be like,
It
okay,
that
well,
helps you
now I can
change.
fix it.
Exactly. That's good.
Yeah, I think that I used to be not so good at controlling my tongue, like, because I don't know, like, I had a voice as a child. Like, my mom was like, so why did you feel like that? What did you do this for? And so I would be like, well, this is why. So I always felt like, even as I was really young, like, I just deserved a certain amount of respect from, like, people older than me.
Yeah.
And, like, so I would be very sarcastic, very passive aggressive. And if I just didn't agree with something, like, it was always just, like, so quick to just, like, a little jab, a little whatever, even just, like, fighting. Like, I've never, like, yelled at someone, but I've, like, brought them down to the lowest place in their life with my words, you know, like, and I've basically destroyed them.
Yeah.
Because that's just, it was like, I couldn't help it. But then, you know, as I grew in God, I did start to feel bad about it after I would do it. And I'd be like, man, that was like for real evil that you said that. So then I started realizing, oh, I think I could change. So then now, like, everything that I say hits like 15 filters in my brain before it comes out, which is like, people make fun of me sometimes because they'll be like I don't talk sometimes, or if I'm giving instructions or I'm reacting to something, like, I'm genuinely, like, I'm just silent and I'll just, like, point. But I'm like, if I were to open this mouth, you would be destroyed. You would burst into flames. So you're welcome, because everything is hitting this filter and nothing, I don't have anything nice to say. So I didn't say anything at all. And so it's kind of, it was definitely, like, tough, because you have to give up the I want the last word thing, and you have to give up, like, the feeling good that you just crushed someone thing. But I don't know, now that when I talk about it and I'm like, yeah, I used to be able to just kill people with my words, people who only known me the past, like, 4 or 5 years, like, they're shocked. Like, they're like, what do you mean? I've never heard you say anything like that. And I'm just like, wow, okay, it's worked then.
Yeah,
it's better,
cool.
you know?
One thing that I lacked the past 3 years, I've been trying to get a certain amount of steps on the daily. So I've been doing it for about 3 years now. So I didn't always do that, but it's harder to go out and get exercise and, you know, I don't know, just everything. So, like, I tried to. So even now, even being quarantined, I just walk around my house.
That's wild.
Sorry, neighbors.
Yeah.
But I just like kind of just making laps and just trying to get those certain amount of steps to get in. I'll sneak it in wherever. Sometimes I'm in practice super late. Before quarantine, and then, you know, students walk in, they're waiting to start practice, and I'm just pacing back and forth. I'm like, gotta get my steps. Sometimes I'll be in counseling sessions, and I just know, hey, you know what I'm doing? I'm just pacing.
Right.
But sometimes
crazy.
you just have to multitask in order to achieve that goal. But something I didn't always do, but now I do, to just try to, you know, stay healthy and all that good stuff.
The healthy thing.
Okay, where do we go wrong when trying to develop self-discipline?
I think, okay, you say it.
Oh.
No, I'm scared. You say it.
No, my big thing is I just think people don't start where they're at. I think people should start off small. I've seen it so many, back to like gym references, but like I've seen people, I gotta lose weight. And they'll meet up with this trainer who literally like eats nothing but celery.
Right, yeah.
It's like a girl who's like
saying,
way overweight, that's never even set foot in the gym. They meet this man who's been working out every single day for his whole life, only eats celery, drinks all these protein drinks. They're like, and they get on this like plan. They're like, okay, never eat again. Do 1 million push-ups, go work out 10 times a week, like 10 times per day, like just all these crazy things. And they try one day, they feel horrible, and then they quit the next day. And I hate that sometimes, only because I think I just work with people more, so I kind of understand a little bit more people. And I'm like, in our mindset, we set our goal is too high, and we set ourselves up for failure. So I think we should start off small and just start where we're at. Just like, okay, this is where you're at. Let's do this. Like, all you eat is chocolate. Let's just not do chocolate. Let's have pizza and McDonald's.
I see what you're
little
saying,
by little. Then it's like, okay, the next day, like, how many, for Big Macs for a week, every day, all you want. Okay, let's try a grilled chicken sandwich and fries and dessert. But just start where you're at.
Yeah, that's
so then
actually
you
good,
see that little change.
Yeah.
And you guys know this. I've preached on this. I think making your bed is the best thing that you could possibly do. Not because I do it, but because I kind of studied it. They say, sources say that if you do a routine, it changes your life. And if the one of the best things that we could do is to make your bed. As soon as you get up in the morning, make your bed. Even now in quarantine, make your bed. They say that in the morning, doing something super quick that makes you feel good, but also accomplishing that task helps set up the day for like successes. They say it's a keystone habit to spark a chain reaction to other good habits. I don't know how it works, but studies say, Psychology Today, bed makers are more likely to stick with budgets. They have a greater sense of well-being. They like their job. They own a home, and they exercise regularly. So it's a small little task that you can do that everyone can do. And it just helps you like, okay, I did this, now I can do more. So I'm all about starting small, start where you're at, and then it will develop more habits. Like you'll see.
That's good advice.
I like the bed making.
I like the McDonald's thing.
I'm not saying that I do it, but I'm saying I like it. I like the thought. I wish I loved making my bed.
Where do we go wrong when trying to develop self-discipline?
I would say sometimes we just we either believe our own press or we pump up ourselves so much. Like, I deserve this. And the thing we deserve is not having self-discipline. So I feel like eating right, we eat good. And usually when you have this mentality, you're on some kind of crash diet, you're doing keto and you're just, only eating bacon. But then you it's almost like you're holding your breath, and then you're like, I deserve to have a whole cheesecake, because I did this discipline thing for a week, and then you have the whole cheesecake because you deserve it because you did so good being disciplined. Or even with the talking thing, I've talked to people and I'm like, yeah, you're a super mean person. You should probably be nicer. And so then they're always nice, nice, nice. And then when someone really makes them mad, they're like, I just had to say it. How I feel, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so you actually have zero discipline because you didn't actually need discipline to be nice to normal people. You needed it to be nice when you didn't want to be nice. You need discipline, you know what I mean? So then people believe their own press and they're like, oh, I've been doing really good. I've been doing really good.
That's so good.
And then we feel like it's a privilege or it's a little snack, to be bad. And I'm like, no, the point of discipline is that you slowly rid yourself of all these things, not that you hold your breath for 2 weeks and then you let it all out. So I feel like that, just like everything else, kind of, it seems like discipline is we do crash discipline for a week and then we just forget about it, So I think that's hard.
That's actually really true. Where do we go wrong when trying to self-discipline? Well, I'll tell you where I've gone wrong in the past when trying to self-discipline. What I've realized is whether it be for eating healthy and working out, or whether it be for consistently praying and being in my word, whatever type of discipline, what I've realized about myself is that, and this is where I've gone wrong in trying to develop a self-discipline, I have not properly understood how emotion-based the decision to change in the first place actually was. I won't, in the past, I haven't looked at well, why did I make the decision to do this? Why? And I'll remember it was some instantaneous moment where someone said something, or I felt some way about whatever the case. And the thing is, it goes for things like fitness and stuff, but it also goes for our spirit lives. You know what I mean? It just does, right? I don't know. I heard a really good worship song that reminded, you know what I mean? All this stuff. So in the past, I haven't properly associated. Okay, well, Jonathan, you made this decision to do this. However, it was immediately after this very emotion-based event occurred. So rather than kind of running into this thing full force and going at it with all I can, because what happens is when you run at it full force and you go at it with all you can, the moment that emotion subsides, however long it takes, is the moment that your passion to change subsides. I've seen it so many times in my own life, it's just insane. So what I do now is I say, okay, well, that's a decision that I want to make, but I'm not going to change one bit until maybe a week from now, because I want this to be based off of a decision to be a better person in the future, not some emotion that quite literally just makes me feel better. It's kind of like what you said about like I don't know, you'll feel like you'll deserve a cheat day later or whatever but in reality, like the discipline comes when it's hardest the most. You know what I mean? So the discipline is not real when it's from, let's say, I don't know, when I was in middle school, I was like super fat. So like, let's say somebody called me fat, right?
Right.
I'm
You
like
would
mad,
go,
I'm
like, on a
upset,
treadmill
right?
for
Like
that
Now
day.
or in
right.
middle school, if someone called you fat. Now or
not
middle school?
in middle school. I'm
Okay.
saying like that would spur on, like, oh, whatever, just like I'm gonna like listen to
Celery.
some emo music, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
made
go
it
run and
great.
stuff like that, yeah. And so like, but what happens is like, I don't know, man. Somebody compliments my outfit a couple days later.
Right.
You touched on this, right?
Right.
All of a sudden, the negative emotion that I attached with the discipline is gone,
Yeah.
and there's the discipline gone as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we mess up is we don't understand like it's got to be sober minded, otherwise it's gonna disappear. So.
This is not good, or I don't know if it's good or not. Sometimes I know, like, you kind of like know yourself. So like some people, like when they're mad, they eat, or they're sad, they eat, they stress eat or whatever. If I'm mad, I don't want to eat. So if I don't want to eat, I'll do something purposely to make myself mad because I know my appetite suppresses.
That's interesting.
That's probably wrong to do. But I literally will go, okay, what's going to make me mad? So I'll go look at something to make me angry, and all of a sudden, I'm not
I
hungry
think
anymore.
we've all done
and
that.
literally
I've definitely
trick
done that
myself
before.
I don't
into
know.
whatever.
I don't know if
because-
there's
But I'm not.
anything
But some
when I don't
people,
wanna eat.
it's only when I'm angry. If I'm sad, I'll
Yeah.
eat like every other woman in the world.
Yeah.
But like if I'm mad, I can't.
That's
So then sometimes
interesting.
I'll put that stress on my life,
Yeah.
so that I don't. I don't think
It
that's
never
good.
works.
I mean,
But also, my angry is relative. I'm not like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever. But like, but sometimes I think kind of like what you guys were saying, like we put there's people in our lives, certain situations that make us do things we don't want to do.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we'll fix it. No, the key is let's take out the person.
Yeah.
So that you don't have that emotion.
Yeah.
Or-
yup.
Kind of take out the common variable, because we'll try to justify relationships or connections or anything like that. Because
Yep.
like, no, but if I'm like, no, it's like,
Yeah.
probably the Lord doesn't want you in this
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
Anything else where we go wrong in self-discipline?
I think I think what you said at the beginning too is like when we don't want to do something, we finally just convince ourselves like, oh well, if I really supposed to do this, I would like feel different.
Yeah.
Like people all the time like, I wish I liked getting up early. I wish I could be on time. I wish I liked this. And it's like no one likes that stuff. I wish, I could go into work, and I'm like, no, like no one loves to go into work. There's days everyone hates it. I wish I could be on time for this. And I'm like, you can, but if you're waiting on wanting to be on time for stuff, or wanting to want to pray, or wanting to whatever, then it's never going to come.
Yeah. Another thing too is I found this out when I was like just doing different workouts when I first started getting into like working out. Another thing is like sometimes like the reward, and this is why I'm careful not to like share new things that I'm trying to be disciplined in with too many people. Sometimes the reward, as opposed to it being like I don't know, we keep talking about fitness, but yeah, being in shape, or as opposed to the reward like being like hearing from God a ton because we're always praying, like as opposed to that being a reward, literally our reward ends up being, at least in my life in the past, the moment where I get to tell somebody what I'm doing. Like that ends up being my reward. And that's how our minds work, right? Like if your goal is to do something, like let's say it's to eat really healthy, let's say 3 months, I'm going to eat, I don't know, whatever, a specific diet, right? The more you talk to another person and you get them to be like, that's so good. That's so good. Instead of the reward being getting it done, the reward is someone else's acknowledgement of you trying to get it done. And that leads to compromise more than anything in terms of like disciplines that I've tried in the past, is like just feeling good because someone else says, oh, good job, as opposed to putting in the work.
I feel like some of the working out gym thing, like I have to do, so don't ever want to do it. The Bible reading, worship time, most of the time I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
There are certain times that my heart breaks and I'm like, I just want to go into my secret place.
Yeah.
And I run because I think that's just that's kind of a little bit my personality, but most of the time I don't want to. But here's the thing, like all these years later, I still don't want to. Like this morning I woke up and I'm like, I don't want to read my word. I don't want to, but the result of like, and sometimes the things that I pray for, like I could probably tell you my top 10 prayer requests and God has not answered them. And maybe most of them I've been praying for, I don't know how many years, to be honest, but I've still, like my life of prayer and of discipline, maybe that specific prayer hasn't been answered, but my effectiveness and my ministry
Yeah.
Yeah.
and my connection with people. Like there's other, like I see the result, even though, you know, I don't know, kind of like what you were saying about Kobe and the other podcasts.
Yeah.
We're saying how like just that it is the journey.
Yeah.
Because, and I believe that God will answer my prayers and all that good stuff, but even all the way, like, I don't know if I wasn't as disciplined, could I have people respect me? I've
Right.
never prayed like, God, please let Jonathan respect me. Please, like, I've never prayed that, but
Yeah.
I feel that you do respect me.
Yeah.
Like, that's nothing ever, we've never had to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, Lord, please, you know, I've asked God for like certain things, and there's this automatic answering because of the life that I lived that He's answered.
Yeah.
Even though it may not have been those specific prayers, but there's an influx, there's an overflow, there's just this circumference of favor that I feel I live in
Yeah.
because of the life that I live.
You talked about it before in the last episode too, just the things that God blesses us with that are actually blessings from prior obedience.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing with that. Like we can say like, oh, the discipline over and over and over. There are things in our lives that are there as an indirect result of the discipline because that's the
Right,
favor that
yeah.
God has because we've disciplined ourselves.
Yeah.
Whether it be in the wisdom we gain directly from the Bible or just the divine appointments that come from the times in prayer, any of that. But it's interesting because like discipline is I don't know, it's like the hardest thing to do really is like, because it's a vague term, but like the hardest thing to do is to self-discipline.
Yeah.
But when we look at the things that can come from the things that has to do with, like reading your word, it's like the result of that is greater than anything.
Yeah.
It's greater than
Yeah.
anything. Like such anointing and such just power on our lives from saying, you know what, maybe I don't want to. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't want
Right,
to.
yeah.
But you know what? There's a person out there who will be touched by a version of my ministry that can only come from this moment of prayer.
Yeah.
From
That's
this
true.
this desire to just be in the presence of God.
Yeah.
I also
So-
feel like we just know that we have so many options when we want to be disciplined. So like we always have the one friend we can go to who will indulge all of our lack of discipline
Yes,
because they're like kind of
yes.
constantly
that's
like,
the
you know,
truth,
like
man.
no one, like I feel like we all want to feel like good people more than we want to be good people.
That's real.
So like
Good.
we're like, you know, like we find the group of friends who's going to build us up and challenge us, and we're all starting businesses and we're all praying every day. And then we're there for a second, and then we're like, oh, I don't know if I can hang here. So then we go to the friend who's like, nothing matters. Sin isn't real. We can do whatever we want, and we're still good. They're just they're holier now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're judging you.
Yeah.
We're good people too. And then we're like, okay, yeah, we're good people. We don't have
Drink
to do
that
anything.
Kool-Aid so
Yeah, because we
quick.
want to feel like we're
Yeah.
good. We don't care about like intrinsically being good.
Yeah.
Intrinsically being, we just want to find someone who will validate. Oh, you can still do all of this and be
Yeah.
okay. You
Yes,
can still do. You don't need to
exactly.
be fit. You don't need to eat good. You don't need to be
Yeah.
nice. You don't need to be holy. You don't need to be pure. And like we just we look for the answers that we want. So we find the person who's
Yeah.
going to be like, you can live whatever life you want and still go to heaven. And we're like, yay, and we just trick ourselves, but we choose to
Yeah.
believe that. So then discipline goes out the window because I'm like, what? Discipline's doing things I don't want to
We
do.
are so toxic to each other. Jesus
know,
have mercy.
it's bad.
Jesus have mercy.
It's bad. That's why we're isolated.
We love it.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
probably why
God's
the
like,
Lord is
get
punishing
away.
everybody the
Seriously.
time out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Go to your
the Wi-Fi
corners.
is gonna go out soon. We're not gonna be able to
Oh,
message each
no.
other. He's really gonna be like, just you.
Okay, during this time of quarantine, how would you suggest we develop self-discipline? I have a couple real quick. I think we need to limit social media. I think that you just go on it, converse, connect, but also like just turn it off, erase the app. Even if you have to do that on
Yeah.
the daily, just go ahead and do it. And then like force time. I'm gonna watch TV this time. Force time of prayer. I don't care.
Yeah.
Even after turn it off, go pray for half an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Please start small. If you've never done that before, don't be like, I'm gonna read 1,000 chapters a day.
Right.
No. Read one chapter. Read read a verse.
Yes.
Like I think God is okay with that. I am not
Yeah.
one to give a time limit. Read a verse, say a prayer. And then go about your day. And then also like, don't text your ex. Please don't do it.
Please don't do
Please
that.
don't do it.
That's
This
a
is
good-
lonely
that's a good
times.
warning
This is
sign,
sad
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
I literally was thinking, I'm like, everybody is going to
Just
start
unblocking.
scrolling
They're like going to their
through,
blocked
and they're gonna
contacts and
be- Yes. Going back to the past. That is
How's your
not
quarantine
what we
going?
want to develop right now. Like, let's just not block it
Yes.
now. Hear my words right now. whenever you hear this, just be like, no, literally right now, like put it as a sacrifice unto God. Don't go by your feelings. Take this. I am a prophet in the quarantine times. Just block it right now. Do not know. I already prayed. The Lord does not call you back to him or her.
No,
I literally prayed it last night. I was like, Lord, I'm like, nope, no one's being called back. It's not time to reconnect. No.
Right.
I'm like, so just let that go. How do you guys?
Those are good tips.
So how would I suggest we develop self-discipline? I really wanted to kind of piggyback off what you said with the whole limit. Well, no, limiting social media, and but what I wanted to say a little bit further more than that is what I've realized. This conversation has come up quite a bit, but my uncle was here a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me, he kind of was making a joke. He was like, hey, man, if you could come up with another thing, app or whatever. He's like, to help people feel less lonely. He's like, you'll be a millionaire. And he pointed out all the different things that are in our culture that really are just a matter of connecting us. And connecting to each other is great, and it's a blessing. But I really think that a lot of people, maybe to a certain extent, don't know who they are. Yeah. And the reason I bring that up is because when it comes to a time of being isolated and being alone, you can ask yourself, how should I self-discipline? What are ways I should self-discipline? However, I genuinely believe that all of us, to a certain extent, need to literally just be alone with ourselves and God to understand what it is to begin with we even need to self-discipline in.
Yeah, that's a...
There are cute global self-disciplines, right? Eat healthy, work out, you know what I mean? But there are calling specific self-disciplines for every person listening to this right now. Yeah. There are specific things that you, like mine, like, I said, reaching out to people, checking up on them. At this point in time, I'm the youth pastor at our Redbug Lake campus. I think that is a crucial part of being a youth pastor, both for your leaders and your students, to have a mechanism of constantly reaching out to people. That's mine, right? And that's sort of a manifested version of something I realize I need self-discipline. And for everybody listening, and even myself, though, I promise you, enough time off of social media, enough time just alone, not even only in prayer where you're talking, but just listening, is going to bring you to a place of knowing what you need to be self-disciplined in the first place. And I think the enemy's real scared of that. I think the enemy's real scared of a person or a nation of believers who not only believe, but who understand, there's a heavy calling and ability on my life, and Instagram has drowned it out for far too long, and social media and talking to other people and all this stuff, far too long. Now, I said this at the end of the last podcast, but now is an opportunity that you may never have again. And man, it can be super impactful to your entire life and to what God wants to do through you. So that is mine, is kind of off of what she said, man. Turn off the phone, turn off the media of all kinds, and just get alone with God, because that's where he speaks, and that's where he's going to reveal what you need to be disciplined in the first place.
I like that.
Not trying to harp on the X thing too, but I feel like sometimes we start getting with ourselves and we start feeling these emotions and these desires and this I don't know, just this ball of emotion that we translate as connecting. So let me reach out to my ex. Let me get on a dating app. Let me do this. And I'm not saying that's not okay, but right now I'm with you. You're going to feel this and you're going to want to go a certain way.
Yeah.
What Jonathan is saying, okay, feel that, now take that to God and hear what he has to say about it, because it is an opportune time. Like, I don't think this is the time for us to retreat and just get through. I think this is a time, this is a setup for greatness.
Yeah.
I think that the church is going to far surpass and do things that we never even imagined. Like, this is not a setback, but a setup, to quote every famous preacher ever.
Right.
That it's just like, not only are we going to barely, okay, well, this is just going to be enough. No, we are going to exceed our expectations, and we are going to get through this like we've never gone through anything before. But you're right, we have to use this time to hear what the Spirit is saying, what God is trying to teach us in this time.
I feel like maybe this goes along with what you guys are saying. Like, my number one tip would be don't be afraid. This sounds weird. Don't be afraid to get self-deprecating, because we're so upset. I guess I said this right. We're so obsessed with feeling like we're okay and everyone else telling us we're okay, and when we want to lose weight. Like, we tell people hoping that they'll just be like, no, you're beautiful how you are.
Yep.
No, you don't. What do you mean? No, celebrities mean nothing. You know, like all that stuff. And we literally purposely put out our insecurity because we know someone will come back. And like literally, like the Bible talks about how bad flattery is. That's exactly what that. Like they're just flattering us, and it's empty.
Yeah.
Like they probably do think we need to lose weight, you know, but they just
So-
they just like want to tell us we don't.
Yeah.
And so since you're isolated, all this stuff, don't post your insecurities online. Don't text people. Literally be okay to kind of be like, God, I'm a garbage person. You know, like I love talking to God about that because it's just an honest place. I'm like, wow, I'm super garbage and you could help me be not garbage. So, but it's a matter of like really owning up to that and really allowing yourself to like be like naked before God, not, you know, whatever.
I think people
you can do
are
whatever
so
you want, but
scared of that.
yeah,
I
but it's
think they're
like, but the
terrified
truth
of
is
it.
the truth. Like you're either a garbage person or you're not. And so most of us are, and most of us, it's okay though, because God's going to help us. But if we're so scared to like think about the weakest parts of ourselves, or so scared to be like, wow, I'm in a codependent relationship. Or, you know, we're so scared to be like, wow, I think I'm addicted to TV. You know, like we don't even want to hear it. We don't want to think it. We want other people to like pat us up and make us feel better.
Goodness.
I feel like that keeps us from really being all who we can be, you know? So I think like great time, be alone with God, be in his presence and literally be like, Lord, I'm probably terrible. So please show me the reasons and then help me to be better. And then we'll all be better.
Yes.
And even if you don't feel like the prayer is changing anything, just keep doing it.
Is.
I feel like we're going to hear so many, and I'm already throwing this out the window after this is all done and after we're back together, after whatever, everyone's going to go, man, I should have taken advantage of that.
Right,
like, can we just no regret testimonies?
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
going to do that right now. Like, we're just right now, just live every single day to the fullest. Like, don't go, I wish I was back in quarantine because I could have had more time. Like, no, this is it. Like, the world is on pause.
Right.
I'm like, and now this is your time to go, okay, God, what is it that you're trying to show me right now?
You literally have 24 hours every day now to do whatever. Like, and you can do it all. You could literally watch like 6 hours of Netflix and you still have so many hours to like
wild,
pray
man.
and sleep and eat. Like there's just nothing. We're doing nothing. So like we have so much time to do everything we want.
And keep your guard up too. Be careful who you FaceTiming with, what conversations you're around. Be careful. Be like, we're going to watch the podcast. You and your boyfriend on your bed together. Be careful.
The lights off.
Like, just don't. Be wise.
Get up from
there
the
is
bed
more
now.
time. Sometimes there's just
Stand
more
up.
time to do bad things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I think this is a time to do good things, but sometimes the enemy can pervert.
Because in 2020 we can do bad things without leaving our house.
Yeah.
Like, it's all virtual. So like
Telling you.
it's almost it's
So
a little bit
don't.
hard, but
Any last words?
I was at our Redbug Lake campus on Sunday, and Pastor Jason, he sat next to me very briefly in the morning, and I was like, I said something. I was like, crazy times we're living in. But I say that not as small talk. I genuinely am like, wow, like kids are
That's
going
the only
to
way
study
to
about this in
describe it,
history.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So I said that to him, and in all his wisdom, man, he's the best. If you don't know him, please meet him. But he's sitting there and he goes, he goes, from an evangelistic standpoint, and he said, this is the greatest gift you could ever ask for. And he told me this. He said, because every single human being you come into contact with, at this point it's going to be a little different because we're in our homes, but there's still family and stuff. But he said, every person you come into contact with, you now have a 100% right to say, hey, how are you getting through this?
Right.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, is there some way I could pray for you? Every person.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right?
they can't just be like, I'm good. Because you're like, no.
You're not good.
No.
You're not good at all. None of us are good.
None of us are good.
So he said that. He said from an evangelistic standpoint, he's like, and he said this. He's like, this is the church's finest hour.
Right.
This is the church's finest hour. And I believe that 100%. Genesis 50:20. You intended this to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. I think it's so fascinating how something can go from so dark and so, obviously the story of Joseph in the Bible, so dark and so like horrible, whatever, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives.
Yeah.
It could look one way, but it just is another way. So church, this is our finest hour. Let this season rock you, change you into an entirely different person with a fresh anointing and all that, because nothing is wasted with God. So
It's true. I would just say don't be discouraged. Like, I know we spent a lot of time talking about maybe like what we're doing good and like our tips, and I feel like a lot of times people watch that and people watch someone who's really like accomplished and they're like discouraged by that. They're like, oh, I can never be that. They want to like watch the story of like, I messed up 1,000 times and I still made it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say like, take now to, again, just no one's better than anyone. You don't have anything to prove to anyone. You could ghost for 2 weeks now,
Yeah.
and it's fine. Like, no one's gonna be like, what's wrong with you? You're
Right,
not keeping up
that's
with
a
your
good
Instagram.
point.
No one's gonna do that because we're all freaking out.
Yeah.
And so like, it's just such the time to just be okay exactly with who you are, and like come out of this different, and come out of this and be like, man, I really should go to therapy. I really should do this. I really should say
Yeah.
this. And it's completely okay.
Yeah.
Like, God loves you exactly how you are,
Yeah.
but the whole thing, you know, he loves you too much to keep you there. And
Yes.
all of us are there every single day. It doesn't matter how disciplined we are, like, until we die, like, right? Like, we have to be getting better. We're
Yeah.
still
Yes.
garbage compared to who we're going to be for eternity
Yeah.
and the end of our life and what that's going to look like. And so, again, don't be discouraged by watching this and be like,
Right.
of course, the pastors, of course, whatever, they can be disciplined, because it's not. Again, no one
Right.
likes it.
Right.
Just have to do it.
Yeah. Amen. My goodness.
Fortune cookie. It's gonna make it about all the babies that are gonna be born. 9 months.
In 9
from now.
months?
What is it?
That's Christmas.
Let's see.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Aw.
Which will be canceled, maybe. But no, definitely
Christmas
not.
or like
November?
New Year's.
New Year's?
Because really, pregnancy is like 10 months.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
I mean,
Just
you
wait
never
till you
pregnant
get
I've
pregnant.
never-
Wait till you get
never.
pregnant.
There's all
Okay.
this generation. Watch it be.
go.
It's
man,
gonna be new baby boomers. What's it?
Yeah.
Corona boomers.
That's true.
my
Corona
Yeah.
boomers. Corona.
I'm a Corona kid. Imagine.
Generation Corona.
Genius is the capacity to take infinite pains.
Pain and childbirth.
Pain and
Wow.
everything. They're gonna be.
Wow.
It's genius. It's gonna be genius. It's gonna be a generation of geniuses.
Geniuses.
Wow,
Wow.
I hope so. I
There's
hope
been
they're
a lot of
better than
struggle.
us.
Yeah, in Jesus' name.
Yeah.
Genius and blessings.
World changers.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Generation C.
Thank you guys for
For
Oh,
Corona.
Corona. I was like,
Yeah,
huh?
Gen C.
We
yeah.
had to restart.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you do not subscribe to our channel, please subscribe.
Yes.
I hope that you enjoyed it. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Later.
Bye.